Hello everyone, this is Soviet Bear. So yesterday, one of our jet bombers, Su-24M, was shot down by Turkish fighters, F-16 fighters. This was a despicable, dirty provocation by Turkish military, by Erdogan's regime. So what was the purpose of this? Well, as we all know, Russia is very successful in destroying ISIS and other terrorist groups in Syria, and that Russia was carrying out airstrikes against ISIS oil business. And as we know, Erdogan's son, Bilal Erdogan, has interests in this oil business. So Russia has done a catastrophic blow to the ISIS oil transporting and oil processing, refining. So let's clarify some things. Russian bomber Su-24, it did not violate Turkish airspace. It was shot down while it was returning back to Khmeimim Air Base in Latakia. There is an interview with the Russian pilot, and he says, with the second Russian pilot. First pilot was shot while parachuting on land. Nobody shoots a pilot who is parachuting from a downed plane. This is an act. This is an immoral act, and this is a war crime. So, second pilot is alive, and he made an interview saying that there were no warnings from Turkey, and you can see his interview.
So the first question is, how are you feeling right now? Overall, I'm fine. Our medics work wonders. Did your crew fly before in that area? Do you know the area well? Yes, certainly. We did multiple combat missions in that area. I know it very well. So we use this route to fly combat missions and then go back to the base. As a navigator, I know every height there. I can even navigate without instruments. Konstantin, they say that 1 kilometer in time-wise for a military pilot is just 1 second. Could this have happened that you moved into the Turkish airspace for a short period of time? No, it's absolutely impossible. Even for a second. We were flying at an altitude of 6,000 meters. The weather was really clear, and as we in our pilot banter say, it was clear a million kilometers by million kilometers. And so before we were hit, so we controlled the route, and I could see it very well on the map and by the heights, by the mountains. So there was no threat of moving into the Turkish airspace. Turkey says that F-16 fighter sent you multiple warnings that you were violating the Turkish airspace. How did it happen in real life? Actually, there were no warnings, either by radio or visually. There was no contact whatsoever. That's why we were flying in nominal mode. You just need to know the difference in speed between an F-16 fighter and a bomber that we were flying. If they wanted to warn us, they could have done it visually by flying in parallel course. There were no warnings whatsoever, and the missile hit the tail of our plane unexpectedly. We didn't see it visually. in order to make a maneuver to avoid being hit. So what's about your health at the moment? What are your plans? I expect to be released as soon as possible so that I could go back to duty. I'll ask my officers to stay at this base. Someone has to pay for the death of the commander.
There are some people who say that the true motive for this attack was a plan by the US to undermine a forming coalition between Russia and some European nations, an anti-ISIS coalition in order to fight terrorism in Syria. But first of all, I don't believe it for a second that any of Western powers has intention to fight terrorism. All they want is to get Assad to oust Assad and to install the puppet government in Syria, just like they did in Libya, in Yemen, and others. So, well, of course the Western powers will do their lip service, oh, we are fighting terrorism, and, well, the US and European nations, before Russia intervened, the US and European nations have been bombing ISIS for over a year. But strangely, only when Russia intervened, ISIS started to suffer heavy losses and Syrian army started to advance. So, I don't believe it. Second of all, Turkey can hide under NATO umbrella, and they will use it as a propaganda trick. So, oh, look at this, look at Turkey, we put the cocky Russians in their place. Well, if Turkey undermines the Russo-Turkish bilateral relations, they will suffer and they will take a lot of damage. And we are not going to stop our operation in Syria. We will continue to bomb ISIS. We will continue to wipe them out, and we will help Assad as we did before. We will not distinct between ISIS and so-called moderate rebels, which are as brutal and no different than ISIS, al-Nusra, and others. So that is all, guys, for today. I'll keep you updated. Subscribe to my channel. That's it, Soviet Bear out. Bye.